30, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight, as always. We're almost done with the budgets. We received another budget from the water department, but the bottom line number has not changed. And since there is no new information, I was talking with David about not voting on it again, since we already voted, the bottom line number hasn't changed. But I wanted to make sure it was okay with all of you, since it's
Sure.
all of our committee, not.
So what did they do?
Line item, just change
Correct
it.
some numbers or something?
Actually, there's only one line that was changed, but let me explain it. So you'll recall last time, he was hoping that we were gonna take $100,000 from the tax side to go towards debt. The selectmen voted no on that last.
Okay.
So,
Shocker.
so what
That's
we,
good, that's
Yeah.
good.
so what we did was, on the first page, you will see that there's a new line called 5300-2017. That did not exist before.
Oh, okay, yep.
So that's
Oh, yeah.
$69,000. That $69,000 in your previous budget was on page 2, and it said, short-term hydrant meters principal payment.
Okay.
So in your packet of articles that you're gonna vote on tonight, he is paying off the hydrants with his water surplus money. So
Okay.
that debt disappears. So when when debt disappears, you have no payment to me, right?
Right.
So he is repurposing that $69,000, instead of, he was going to do it for an article, we've put it into the budget because he needs to be able to test to look for new well areas.
Okay.
So that's why it doesn't change the dollar. We think it's cleaner and easier and better this way. You'll see on page 2 that we disclosed, again, 276. He is gonna have a total debt remaining of $100,000. That
Yeah,
was where he was hoping to get the $100,000 from the tax side. That was not approved last night. Therefore, what we're looking to do is potentially having a fall special town meeting, because he's going to have his water surplus certified, take $100,000 and pay off that debt. That way we keep the rate, try to lower the rates on the water side. And the difference of that water surplus, I think what they're trying to do is that they will create an article, so that way they can look for future wells and dig future wells. But
So
in
it'll
order-
be in next year's town meeting.
Correct.
Right.
But in order to do that, to really start to have a feel for where they can go, that's what that $69,000 is gonna allow them to do, is
Yeah.
over the summer, they can start doing some testing.
yeah.
My only concern is what if the article doesn't pass? Then where's the 69 grand to make the payment gonna come from?
The $69,000 is just for them to go and do the engineering to figure out where. the-
No, but
It's already, it's part of their budget. It's
but
not
we're
as part-
taking out the principal payment from their budget, assuming the article's gonna pass, right?
Oh, because in one of your articles, he's paying
It's in here.
$128,000 instead of 69.
Oh, okay.
When you get to it, you'll see it, because he's trying to accelerate the payoff. So,
Got it.
so we won't, to answer your question, JP, there'll be no additional payment due. The hydrants are paid off, and the water meters are gonna be more than half paid off,
Okay.
and they're gonna come out of the articles.
So he's still gonna have the money he needs to look for wells, which is
Yes.
what he wanted to use the surplus for.
Exactly. Yeah, so this still works, it accomplishes everything he was looking to do.
That's
And
great.
it doesn't change the budget at all.
And the town doesn't have to contribute anything to it. The water department still is
Can be a
self-sufficient.
tough sell.
Right.
Which I need to be.
So if it's okay with everybody, we'll leave the vote as it was. No need to
Yep.
vote again.
Yep,
And the school department is coming in. Are they here? So the school committee's coming in along with Patty and Sarah.
You want me to go and grab it?
Yeah, please. I don't think they heard me.
just to look at
Anybody
this,
have their
Jerry,
Southeast
primarily.
package, I think I took mine out. I don't know why I
The
do that.
budget or the,
Their package,
is that this thing?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, I do.
You got it, you sure? You can take
I
mine.
might. I don't, let me make sure I have what I need. No, I think I got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Jen.
Actually, we got Jen's right here too, so.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That would make sense, just pull from the one no one's using.
You're just so willing to sacrifice
Exactly.
for the group.
Paper here, take it.
I know.
We gonna look at any particular page
Once
in
I have to-
here?
Well, yeah, what I'm gonna start is where I was last week. I actually, my
this
goal
one?
for the summer, was, my goal for the summer is to put this all in an Excel spreadsheet, all those budgets from like 2013. I got nothing else-
Entourage.
I got nothing else to do.
You could have fun. I mean, that would be, that's what I would do in my summer.
Yeah.
You're more dedicated than I am.
Sit in front of the TV, at night.
I thought you were coming alone.
I got like 6 months to get it done. so.
There you go. Yeah, small doses.
Just a couple of questions, that's all.
Well,
That's why we're here.
Hello.
Yes, education is 3,000.
you were right
Why
there.
is it not in the screen page?
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you guys all for coming in. It's good to see you. We have some questions about the budget, nothing negative. We've asked some other departments to come in as well. We've asked some questions just to have a better understanding of the budget. We haven't yet voted on the school budget, so we're hoping to take that vote tonight and complete the budget process. Great. So Jerry, I'm gonna turn it to you.
So I guess my first question is, that on the green sheet that came with our budget, it said that the school choice money was 1.473667. And on the local aid estimates, it says that the school choice money is 1,183,923.
Correct. So on the cherry sheet, that's what our school choice money will be for the next year. But we get the payments monthly, so what we can contribute to this budget is what came in last year. So we have 1.4 in the budget to put towards it, to put towards this year.
So you had 1.4 million, so you had the difference between the 1183 and the 1473, which is about 390,000.
No, if I'm hearing you right, you got the money last year and you're spending it.
So you're always 1 year behind, basically.
Basically. So we can't, so this year, we're gonna get the 1.1 that's on the cherry sheet. So we'll get payment, sorry, I just ran up the stairs.
You totally ran up.
I am not in good shape. So each month we get a payment. So basically, we don't have 1.4 in the account today, but as the money comes in, it rolls over and it goes back out again. But we have enough to put 1.4 towards this budget.
Okay, so, but what I'm still kind of getting is that there was 300,000, there was like 300 and something thousand.
I think what
Left.
she's saying, this is for FY18
Right.
aid, which begins this coming July 1st. This is FY17 aid that's going to be used in FY18.
So next year, this green sheet's gonna say whatever that.
1.1.
Whatever it is.
Well,
Roughly,
whatever it ends up
roughly,
being.
yeah.
Right, we're gonna have less school choice money
Next
for
year.
next year's budget.
The other thing too is that's an estimate.
Yeah.
So it could go up.
So you didn't have school choice money left over last year?
We did. Yes, we did.
We have school choice money left over every year. The only thing that's allowed to be carried over by the law is school choice money. And we make a point to carry over a certain amount based on what the budget reflects every year, knowing that we're gonna need it for our budget. It varies anywhere between what you're seeing this year to less last year to actually maybe more next year. It all depends on what the income is. You can't judge what we're gonna have or not have, but we use the money strictly for the budget, because that's the only place it can be used for.
Well, just instruction.
Yeah.
Instruction.
Direct instruction.
But we also, there's also hidden in there in the cherry sheet, and if you wanna look at it that way, a year later, we also apply for, if we have special ed kids, and our special ed kids that are choice kids, if their spending or their expenses are over a certain amount, we have to then apply for that, we get it back. That's what really changes that number, because the estimate, the special ed number is not in the estimate. And then the special ed director, twice a year, does a sheet where she says, okay, these kids are here, and we should get this much aid back, this much aid back. And that's never in that estimate. That's just a flat estimate based on how many kids they think will have in school choice.
And
Okay.
you can't know that number until you go over the limit, like you said, so that's why it's always kind of
Yep.
behind a little. Okay.
Yeah, because it depends on the services that the kids get.
Yeah.
And it changes from year to year based on their annual meetings and their IEPs and what services they need. But we do apply for that. And again, that's what changes that. So we could actually, the estimate might be 1.1, and once we put in for the school choice reimbursement, with the sped and all that stuff, and then the numbers might change a little bit, we could, the actual could end up being 1.4 again.
Or somebody could move out of town and you don't get.
Or it could be the other way around, yeah.
So, so if you had $300,000 in school, I'm just using that number as a round number. How come you didn't give like maybe 300,000 back to the town and use the school choice
Can't
money?
do
They
that.
have to
We
use
can't
it
give it, it has to be used.
No, not school choice money, budget money. You could give
Because-
budget money back to the town and use your school choice money.
Because what we do with our school choice money, our extra school choice money, the reason that we're a one-to-one district and every kid in the district has a device, we could either use our school choice money for that, extra school choice money, or we could go to the town meeting floor, put it through capital, or put a line item in our budget for that. We don't. So either way, it would still be used, but we are one of the few one-to-one districts in the area that are one-to-one pre-K through 12. We also are one of the few districts that every single classroom in every building has a smart board. Most elementary schools, you don't see this, so we are very well stocked with our technology, school choice money. Any extra school choice money goes towards that.
Yeah, so I mean, in a way, it does go back to the town, because we use that money to put towards budget items that we need, and then the following year, we don't need money for that item because we've used money from school choice.
When you say one-to-one, what is one-to-one?
One-to-one means that every student that we have has a device, a Chromebook
Computer.
that they-
Oh, a computer.
A computer, I'm sorry. 7 through 12, they actually take them home.
Okay.
Pre-K through 6, they're in carts in the classrooms. But they're available for every student, so that they just use them
And why would another district not necessarily have that?
because they don't have the
Financial.
money.
Not in the money.
And mostly with, you're
They
gonna
have
go
a
with your
budget.
high school first, and most of them won't do it for the elementary. I mean, there are
The
some.
town meetings won't vote it, you mean? Or they just,
Or they don't
They
put
just
it
don't.
forward to the town meetings, maybe the town doesn't vote for it.
But do other towns have the same ratio of school choice that we do?
No.
That's what I thought, though.
No, that's why we
Yeah.
can use it. School choice really, if you talk to other communities, and when it first started, it was really to use as enhancements and enrichments. It wasn't really meant to be put directly in the budget, and the reason for that is because if your school choice numbers then go down,
You're
you're gonna have
dependent
a
on
big,
them,
you're gonna have a big gap there. We went through a very, as you know, tough recession, and so we started putting more and more school choice money in so that we could keep the level of education that we're giving the kids. So that's when we started putting a lot more into the budget. But anything left over goes direct instruction, and it's been technology. It's really helped us with that technology.
And you're not required to put any of the school choice money into the budget,
No.
right?
No.
So you do that to help the town, so it is going back to the town in that respect. They don't have to put it towards the instruction at
No, the
all.
state would prefer that you use it for enrichment and enhancement, and you don't
What-
put it into the
And
budget.
what's enrichment and enhancement mean?
Like
Um,
infrastructure?
Like
The
technology,
Yeah.
things
the
that are
school
over and above.
infrastructure.
So
that.
things that wouldn't normally, so things that you wouldn't put in your budget, you'd use
Well,
school
they're
choice money for.
In the budget for, I mean,
I mean, they're not giving you $1.1 million just to have and say, there you go, West Bridgewater, there's 1.1 million. You don't have to use
Well, they
it, you
give
can
it to us
just
to
keep it.
educate the kids.
Yeah, right, right.
but when you,
So it should go into the budget.
well, it is, I mean, all of our items that we spend money on are in our budget. So to say it's not in our budget is kind of a hard.
I'm just trying to follow it, that's all, I'm
Well,
sorry.
it's in here, cause like, so this is a $14.2 million budget, but we're asking the town for 12.08. My numbers, you know, I'm estimating here. So it's not that the items that we spend the school choice money on are in here. They're all listed in here. It's just, we put our money towards that. So to say,
Right.
I mean, I understand what Dr. Oakley is saying, that it's not in our budget, but it's not like we have
We
know,
would come
money
for
over here
more
that we're
capital
spending on
items
things
than
we
we
don't
have in
see.
the past if we didn't have school choice.
That's definitely true. Yeah, the school hasn't come forward for much. At all. I mean, we have the new high school, of course.
Right.
That's all- you know, that's all we know. There was that, but-
There wasn't enough school choice for that.
Do we have any kids in West Bridgewater that go, say, to Hingham or Duxbury?
We do
or-
have
No, we have a
some,
couple that go to Bridgewater,
yeah,
um,
and that's on the cherry sheet.
and
I
that's, most of the time when they go, like if they want Division I sports,
Yeah,
some kids will
may have
go.
something to do with it, yeah.
That's what most of them have gone for school choice. And that's really been the place, that really, and the school choice, cherry sheet is a little deceiving now too, because the state now has, an online virtual academy, which
Oh, I
is a
saw
school
that.
choice, it's Tech Academy, you've probably seen the commercials.
Mhm.
And that goes into the school choice, so if you have kids that go to that, and a lot of those kids, like, they might be school phobic, or they're out and they go there.
Yeah.
That actually is some of our school choice kids, I think we might have two,
Mm.
that go there, so that's a little deceiving with that too, so.
So the real motivation for kids is they suspect they're gonna get a better education by going to another town? Is that their motivation? So it speaks for itself if kids here aren't heading somewhere else too.
Exactly.
A lot of the 99% of the time, I hear two things. One is they come to West Bridgewater for the education.
Yeah.
They like the small
Yeah.
personalization.
Right.
And the majority of parents, and even the high school kids will say, they like that it's personalized, they like that they know all the teachers
Sure.
and the small class size, and that's really what,
Right.
people come here for.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I like now. That's not what I liked as a teenager.
But you know what? High
But
school
it's so
kids like
true,
that,
yeah.
actually.
No, and I would say I come from a family of educators in other, they work in other towns, and they do have to apply for grants and find other funding for things like, laptops and smart boards and that kind of thing, so they're always fighting for that money. So I understand what you're saying.
So at the end of the day, you're saying that the school doesn't have, so the 300,000 that was left from school choice money at the end of 16 or 17 shouldn't go back to the town. That's basically what you're saying. Not that it's school choice money, that you should use the school choice money and give the other money back to the town, that should be used first. That's what.
Well, and the school choice money is also a stabilization fund for us. We have move-ins all the time, mid-year, out-of-district placements that can cost a lot of money. And if, in that case, we have the school choice money, we don't have to go to a special tab meeting and say, we need another $200,000 to send these kids to out-of-district placements. So it's also a stabilization fund for the school.
We do use some of that money in the budget, as you can see, there's, under revolving accounts, that's $342,000, so that's from that revolving account, so it does come back to the town, I mean, we're using it to educate, I understand what you're saying, but I don't think there'd be an advantage to what you're suggesting of saying, okay, we had, in our stabilization fund, we had $250,000, so we give $250,000 back to the town, because then in the next budget, we would just probably be asking for that $250 back. And when we do spend the money, it shows up in our actuals, so it's not like we're not showing you or the town when we spend the money. Everything we spend is in here. So it might come from a different fund other than the town funding, but it's all for
And we would
Bridgewater.
also, so if we used that first and said, okay, well, we got 1.3, we'll use the whole thing and put it in our budget, so that then we could cut the town portion, 300,000. We would then say, okay, we need $100,000 to get 7th graders Chromebooks. We need that, so we'd be coming for that, so
There's always a
Would
risk
still be
too. You
getting
put it on a special meeting or something, taxpayers could say no, yeah.
But the budget was up how much this year?
487.
4.1%.
487,000. So, if.
Take away 260,000 for special education.
But there was still 300,000 from school choice that was still sitting there.
no. Not this year.
No.
No.
See, I'm not following where that 300,000 you're
No.
talking about is coming from.
Because we're getting 1.1 on the cherry sheet and we're putting in
But that's next
1.4.
year. and
That's next year.
Right.
It's we're talking
There's
apples
not
and
a-
oranges, they're two different years.
There's actually a negative 300 then if you wanna put it
If you
that
look
way.
at it
We're
that
gonna be
way.
$300,000 shorter
Okay, so
after
the,
the
where,
end
what
of
is the
next
one,
year.
so the, you're getting, where is the 1.4 coming from? What year is that coming in for? What year is that being used for? That's being used for fiscal year 18.
We got it in 17. So over every month in 17, we got a payment for school choice, and that would, if you wanted to total just that up, it would come up to 1.4.
1.4, okay, okay.
So next
Okay.
year, when we ask for $300,000 more, it's because our cherry sheet is down. I'm just
What?
kidding.
I don't think so.
Mary was like, oh,
You were shaking your head yes for a little bit, come on.
You'll understand
But
why.
that's why we're not up 300, even though we're contributing 1.4 and getting 1.1. We're actually.
We
but
won't
like-
see that
like they
fluctuation till
yeah.
next year.
Hopefully, we won't even see that fluctuation as explained. It could, by the end of next year, it could be an actual of 1.4, which would be great.
So the other thing I don't, everybody has their spreadsheets, and that's the only thing I want more of an explanation on. I did meet with Sarah, but I went back to some of the acts from the, because I have budgets going back to 2013. And I'm still not understanding some of the things, like the superintendent's salary from 2013, or the high school principal salary. The grounds and maintenance is the biggest one.
Okay. Can I do the super, because I did have the opportunity to watch your meeting, so I think I understand the question on that and the contractual benefit. So at the time of when we put the budget in, what we ask for, what we request is what their contract says, or at least what they made the previous year. So we don't ever go below or we try not to go below what they made the previous year or what their contract said. Now, in the case of the administration, they have a contract amount, and then in addition to their contract, they have other incentives and ways that they can earn more money at the end of the year. But they don't earn that money until the end of the year because their evaluation is in June. So unless they hit those marks, they're not gonna make that money. So that money is all put in the contractual benefits line.
And what,
So-
and, okay, and
And I
that's on
think that's-
page what?
That's what's
That's
different from the
3230.
town,
But
is
so
we
about
budget the math.
2013, there was only like 15,000 in the contractual benefits line.
Yeah.
And this
which-
year, there's, yeah.
So every year, the requested amount is not always 308, but it's like 250, 275, and by the end of the year, the actual should be 0. So I don't know why.
Yes, right, I noticed that the actual is 0 because you spend it all.
Because we spend it all.
Right.
And so this is kind of interesting. I don't know what year it was, but I do remember that Meredith was there and Bob Smith came to us and said, why doesn't the W-2 of Dr. Oakley match her line on the
Yeah, we talked
budget?
about that a few years in a row.
Right, so it was, and what it was, is the contractual benefits were not under her line.
Which happens with all the employees in town. They've got the different stipends and allowances, and there's different perks.
Right, but they
So
carry
to
those on a
try-
line that we can see.
Right,
And we
so
understand it when we walk into a meeting.
Is
that
it
those
on
are
the
being
They have a
carried
whole
on the
committee
line.
to do their budget.
It
We
is
don't
on
need to
line.
know that.
So,
I mean,
but I think
it's not our responsibility to put this budget together.
No, it's our responsibility to say to the taxpayers, yeah, we reviewed it and we agree.
Right.
That's what I see.
Right.
It's our responsibility as voted officials to make that budget come out right every year. And you're looking at a group here that's been on this committee for no less than, with the exception of 3 years. I'm a 15-year member.
So let me just ask you about another line then.
And the reason we get re-voted every year is because people trust us with the budget.
We have 2 meetings a
If
year
people
for
didn't
this
trust us,
budget.
then how come nobody ever runs against us? Please, I invite people every year to run.
Too much work.
It is. No, because there's no benefit. You wanna talk about benefits?
We're appointed
Run for the
to
school
the,
committee and we'll tell you where they are.
Benefit here either.
So I think I can explain though, and I think because we changed the way we did it to be more transparent for the finance committee, and that was by the request of Bob, and that was to take the contractual benefits and put it under each person's line at the actual. So at the end of the year, under the superintendent, underneath each of the principals, they have their actual, so it would match what's on their W-2 more or less, because our fiscal year is different than a W-2, but basically it would line up better than it was when we just had their salary on their, underneath their line, and then the contractual benefits all together, clumped together. So now we do have it the way you're asking for it, but you can't, the problem is you can't compare the requested with the actual.
No, you can't.
And say, so you have to, so if you want to see what was their increase from year to year, you have to look at their actual to actual to actual. So once you look at, if you compare those, then you can see what their increases were each year.
Right.
And that's really the way to look at it. So the information is there, it's just, I don't know if it's different than the way you do the towns, but this is, I mean, I remember specifically, and at that time, it was like, okay, then we had it cleared out. And does that make sense that we?
It does. I just, like, for example, the grounds and maintenance, their 2013 actual was 87. Their 2014 actual was 85. 2014 requested was 68, and then the actual was 85. So that was like a big difference.
Can I just ask,
We
why are
added
we
those.
talking about 2013? Could I just ask that? I mean, are we supposed to be?
Just as a
you know,
comparator, I
Yeah.
think
I know,
that's
but
all.
if we're focusing on what this budget is before you now, I mean, this is something that we've spent at least two segregated
I'm just trying
meetings, but I
to
know-
understand it.
No, I understand,
okay?
but what I'm saying is we've spent two separate meetings every year on our budget. I mean, Mrs. Smith has reviewed your prior finance meetings. Have you reviewed our meetings? I mean, they're
No,
all
but
recorded as
in
well.
Jerry's defense, we have to sit up at town hall and say whether or not we agree with this. So we have the right to ask questions. I mean,
I'm not
we
saying
understand
you
you
don't have
guys
a
do
right.
some work too, but we can't just take your word for it. That's, otherwise, why do we even have the committee?
We've never asked you, with all due respect, we've never asked you to just take our word for it.
Well,
We're
it sounds like that's kind of what
representatives-
you're asking right now.
We're representatives of the town. I'm asking to focus on this budget.
Okay.
I'm not talking about 2013. You know, it's really,
You
it
can
has
ask,
nothing to do with
I'd
this
ask the
meeting.
questions that you have. I mean, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't understand your question though with grounds and maintenance, because the 13 actual, the 14 actual, and the 15 actual, it
Well,
goes
okay, then
down
let me
a
go
little
to
bit.
the question I asked Sarah. The
Okay.
2016 actual was 92, the 2017 actual was 87. Excuse me, yeah, 87, and the 2018 requested is 120. 2000, okay?
Where are you?
Where are you?
On the
So-
top sheet,
Yeah,
on the
we
bottom
did, but-
line.
Oh,
For an
okay.
increase, and yet the
Didn't-
FTEs remained the same.
Yeah.
And I'm still.
It's actually a 3.0 FTE, and that is an error that I did in the budget, which I do apologize for. But also, the grounds and maintenance and the custodians, they do a lot of overtime, and so that's why the actuals might differ from the requested.
Like snow removal?
Yes.
We have to call them in, for the, well, we don't have to for the high school anymore, but for the elementary schools now, when we get those January below zero things overnight, we have to have someone come in every 4 hours overnight to make sure the Roselle heat doesn't go out and that type of stuff, so that's overtime that we have to pay.
Okay, so basically, this is how I feel. I feel that the requested budget and what some of the salaries, what the actuals end up are far, far different cry from what's down for the requested. And that's difficult. I think it's difficult for the taxpayer. I think it would be difficult for the average taxpayer to understand why a principal at a school could have a requested budget, of 94,000 and end up with an actual of 104. They're going to say, how come? Well, where did that come from?
Well, it was like when you guys were discussing the superintendent's salary, and how if you put a line item in the budget for the superintendent's salary, but you haven't hired a superintendent yet, how does that feel? So that's what it would be with these contractual benefits. If we put what they could make into their line, they haven't made it yet. So what if they don't earn it, and then we've put in their line that they could earn $120,000, but actually they only got 110. Would you rather see it that way?
A lot of our budgets, we do have, actually, on a lot of our budgets, on the side, we'll have notes in terms of what could impact the budget. Some of the some of the, even the people who are bound by, whatchamacall those?
The clerical adjustments?
The unions and things like that.
Collective
You know,
bargaining
will
agreements.
understand that they're in negotiation and what the impact could be.
Right.
So we kind of have some understanding, and that's helpful. That's helpful. I think that there's not, you know, for the finance committee, which needs to understand it, there isn't a lot of understanding, and that's hard to say, okay, you know, well, we just approved a budget, they asked for this, but last year they asked for that and paid that. I don't understand.
So are
how
you
that-
asking for the budgeted amount to be the max that they could earn instead of baseline?
Well, I mean,
So
and so
all
all of that is all of that dollar, like if a principal gets 90, but if they meet all these parameters, they make 110, where's that
Where's
money?
that money?
Contractual
Yeah.
Contractual
obligations.
benefit.
So on page 8,
And then you use it all at the end of by
yeah,
the
so
end of
that
the year.
should be 0, or if we don't use it, then we have extra money.
We do
Well,
a budget transfer every year.
Also, she does a budget transfer at the beginning of the year, but also, again, because we're a bottom line budget, there are times when someone moves in from out of town and we don't have the we did not, budget for an out-of-district place. We didn't budget for special ed costs. It happens every
Every
year,
year.
and we need money, so it might be that there was $20,000 left in contractual benefits because that principal didn't get this, or I didn't get this, or whatever, and so we would then do a transfer and say, we need to use this for the out-of-district placement. So
And then
it
that
is a
would-
bottom line
and
budget,
then-
and I know you guys don't like that, but it is.
So what would you do though, let's just say that you've funded this contractual benefits line with all the potential that people could earn if they meet all their goals or however that's done.
It's
And
also
then-
retirements and stuff like
Yes.
that.
Okay, and then
Oh, so you.
everything gets spent because you meet all your goals and the people that you thought were gonna retire, and blah, 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 and then somebody else moves in, like you're
We'll
still
do,
short,
we'll
right?
do what I did this year. I put a
Frozen.
freeze on the budget, and no teachers were allowed to go to professional development, even though it's per their contract that I have to put that in, but we froze the professional development line. And also, I stopped getting subs for like kindergarten teachers and stuff like that, and just had aides cover, and saved money in the substitute teacher line.
So you got
Believe me,
creative.
I'm not a very popular person because of some of the things, but we had to freeze pretty early because we knew it was coming, to take money out of the sub line, to take money out of the professional development line. I stopped sending teachers to PD in October.
Yeah, it was early this year.
Because we had two big things that were coming down the pipe. So that's,
That's how you juggle it.
That's what goes on the half days, right? Isn't that professional development?
yeah.
Yeah,
Do
but
they
then
leave the
there's
premises or someone
No.
comes
No,
in
this
or?
is when someone comes in, but usually on the half days.
Yeah.
But there are also situations where teachers have course reimbursement in the contract. So they're taking courses to move up. I put a freeze on all that stuff this
Like
year just
masters
because-
and-
Yeah, because we had to.
The incentive, I think I know the answer, but I'll ask it anyway. The extra incentives are all non-union personnel, right?
Right.
Salaried only.
Yeah.
So
okay.
contract, so
I
we do the
understand.
contract with the school committee does the contract with Dr. Oakley, and
Right.
Dr. Oakley does the
Right,
contract with the other
right.
administrators.
Like is the nurse, that's
No.
union?
No.
That's union?
That's
Yeah,
union,
so
but
you
we have.
But you wouldn't have incentives for some, no.
No, we don't
But we
have
have
that.
steps and
Treat
tracks.
your sick kids, yeah.
Well,
Kids that for a
no.
while.
We have steps, we have steps and
Steps.
tracks, though,
Yeah.
and tracks, as they move over with more credit. But that 2017, that's a high contractual benefit. That was because we were in negotiations with the teachers. But we hadn't, when we proposed it, we hadn't finalized or ratified anything. So we knew what we were going to offer them, and that's what we put in the contractual benefits, hoping that that's what they would take. But we couldn't put it on the teachers' salaries yet because then it would give away what we were trying
Right,
to
of
negotiate.
course, of course.
So that's why that was a big year.
Thank you for explaining that, because I don't think, I know I didn't know this, I don't know about you guys, I never knew that's what contractual benefits was for, so
Yeah.
I think that clears up a lot of,
So that was
Yeah,
that year,
so
and
thank
then
you.
this year in there's the incentives for those, but there's also per contract, retirees have to tell us by January 15th if they're gonna
Yeah.
be leaving. so that we can budget and put in, because if you're there for so many years, you get this, you can buy a percentage of your sick days back, and all those types of things, so depending on the number of
it's a chunk of
retirees.
money usually.
And there was one year, we had like 8, and they were like
Yeah.
long-time people, that was back there in the.
Yeah, because a retiring
That was the
teacher
ones-
could be $25,000 a year.
Yeah.
So,
How often do you have to negotiate the contracts with the teachers?
Every 3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
So this is the first year of.
FY17 is,
Contract,
yeah.
Okay.
So that worked out, you were able to negotiate what you expected and you ended up sort of in a good place?
Sort of.
We got a good.
We did, we got what we wanted, and we
We
actually
got a good.
adjusted our salary scale and made it a
It's our
lot
second year.
to save a
Yes.
lot of money, not this year, but in the future.
Oh, I remember you saying that.
So that was, so we actually had to give it a little bit more because it was a big fix that, this was the third negotiations I've been through that we've been trying to fix it and we finally got it. It was big,
Good, good, that's really good.
it was a lot of work.
Nothing worthwhile.
It's not a lot of work, yeah, and it is, because it's gonna help us down the road.
And I know this is probably pointing out the obvious, but on the budget that we give you, on the top up here has explanations and notes, and we try to put up there, and Sarah tries to put up there as much information to try to make it clearer, so if we're trying, I guess is.
So that's why we see your 17 was at 308,
Mhm.
and now you're going down to 113, because you don't anticipate, or you're not in negotiation.
We're not in
You might not have as
negotiation.
many people retiring and that kind of thing.
Yeah. We know how many people are retiring, but it's also any non-union raises, we have no idea yet because we don't do that until June. So that's what that
Because we
part
base
is.
it all on evaluations.
I was gonna say it's after the year end. Okay.
Yeah, so we do a
Do you have
public
more
evaluation
questions?
of Dr. Berkeley, so the school committee does, her evaluation, her contract, everything is done in a public forum, so, and she has a binder, we each evaluate her on, it's a big step, so, actually, in the education system mandated by the state is a specific evaluation tool, and it's
A process of documentation, what you're doing.
Mhm.
yes, and
Exactly,
it's,
evidence
it's
now.
thorough, and it's actually really, it's a good process because it really calls out, but it calls out their goals, and I mean, it's much more of a thorough evaluation than I've found in the private sector.
Mm.
Does anyone have any more questions on this budget, or any other questions for the school or school committee?
I'm good.
Would anyone like to make
I
a
just wanted to
motion?
say that
Do
I
we vote?
appreciate the information.
Yeah, thank you, it's very helpful, very,
Yes.
very helpful.
Thank you.
Enlightening, we need to understand.
It's a big
It's
budget.
a lot of money,
Yeah.
and it's,
Yep.
you know, and you guys are so close to it, and.
Yeah.
We do it
You
every
know,
day.
we're not, and certainly the towns, the townspeople are not necessarily.
No, we have
Yeah.
good schools, they do a really good job. Some of the arguments and fights going on in other towns with the school department and the town, we haven't had that, and that's wonderful.
And we appreciate the questions. I know we talk in acronyms a lot from the
Yeah.
school and things, and we get used to it because
Sure.
we
live
speak
it.
that language, but, and I, watching your meetings, I do appreciate what you guys are doing for our town and for us too, because every dollar counts and the questions you're asking are great, so thank you.
Thanks, all right, get out.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for coming. Enjoy the sunshine.
Thanks, have a good one.
Thank you very, very much.
I didn't see you.
What's that?
I didn't see you.
All right.
So, just out of curiosity, has the school ever given money back to the town? Okay. The rest of my case.
Does go up a lot.
Well, contractual benefit lines conveniently is always zero at the end of the year.
Because they use the benefits for the people.
But if
Not always, though.
everybody uses their max benefit,
always.
everybody gets
Oh,
the
I
max
see what you're
bonus at
saying.
the,
It
every
gets-
year.
yeah.
It's, yeah, because it's not a line item.
I just think it's a little out of control, that's that's
All
all.
right, so we still have to take a vote on the school budget?
Oh dear, okay.
Would anyone like to make a motion, or is there any further discussion you'd like to have?
What's the amount again, total amount,
That's a good
for
question.
the record?
Whatever it is.
It looks like, is it 12,088,018 dollars?
No.
No,
You should
I wanna
have
hear
this
the
sheet
number,
that
yeah.
Because the Board of Selectmen reduced it by 34,000
Right.
change.
Oh, that other sheet. Oh, I need my sheet.
So it should be 12,088,000. Oh, no, 12,053,405.
Oh, I forgot to
That is
ask her a
correct.
question, that's
Okay,
right.
I'll make a
This-
motion.
Actually, this was a question I wanted to ask. Why, if, I'll just throw this out there before we vote, okay, just so you know. If Southeastern stays at their number where they're supposed to stay at, why can't West Bridgewater do a little bit better at staying a little
Sped?
closer?
I think it also depends on what the
Huge
community
difference.
wants.
Yeah, well,
Sped?
that might be part of it, because the special ed, they probably don't.
I don't know whether it's in there or not, but
Probably in the-
it would make sense.
I mean, all for education. I know you've got kids in the school, so you don't want to say anything against them. But, I
Well,
mean,
no, if
I
I
just
didn't
want
like it, I would say so,
I
but
just want to make
I've
sure
never
that
had a
all,
problem.
you know, do you know that 25% of the town is over age 65? And they want to make sure they're getting a fair shake for their
Sure,
tax
sure.
dollars.
over the years, I've spent hours upon hours with Sarah and Patty, Dr. Oakley, going through the school budgets and trying to understand it, and there is so much to it, that every time they come in, I learn something else. But they're always willing to sit down and go through it with you. Like, they've been really good about that.
What did they reduce, what's the 34,000, you know, specifically what they took out?
No, because again, I think that even though that I look at the budgets on a daily basis, it is impossible for me to really pierce a $14 million budget and know it as well as Sarah or Patty does. So with that said, the thought process is that they came in at a 4.24%, a 4.2% budget increase. By reducing it to 34,000, it brought it down to a 3.9% increase. About 1% of that is legacy costs, they couldn't help
Sure,
it.
yeah.
So that basically meant that they had a 3% operating budget year over year, which was consistent with pretty much what we were doing across the town. So the board felt that that was fair and reasonable. I had a conversation with Dr. Oakley and Sarah about it. They both thought it was that was acceptable as well, so we agreed to it.
Yeah.
So our final figure is 12,000.
12 million.
12 million, yeah, 12,000, that was gonna go far. Ooh.
So then, what is it?
53,405.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve it as presented.
Is there any further discussion or a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm not opposed, but I'm going to abstain.
Okay, so it passes with, that majority vote?
Yeah, it's a mistake.
It's a majority vote.
The hardest part is like knowing what words to say, whether you're recommending or approving or.
Yeah.
The numbers are easy.
So Meredith, I have the total for the entire budget, which I'll
Okay.
give you for the number in a moment. However, and I have it on my notes, I meant to bring it up earlier. I have been approached, and I can't say the names yet because it's a personal decision, but I have been approached by two people that are thinking about retiring this year. So I need to work through those numbers in the benefits line for the sick time. So what I'm gonna ask you to do is to take a motion and an approval on the total budget that it would be as of this moment. And over the next week, as I determine as to whether or not these people are going to retire, I'll send you an email. I'll let you know what that new number would be. I'll have to make the adjustment because whatever it is whatever it is. Fortunately, it's not, $900,000, but, I don't know, and I don't know what the numbers are because I've not had a chance to look at it. I don't know, it could be $3,000, it could be $30,000, I don't know. But
So if we approve as of this moment, would we have another amendment if once the knowledge is there of what we're gonna do?
yeah, so
What's the process?
the process would be, what I'm gonna ask is that for you to approve the number as it is right now, and then to do one of two things. Either we're gonna have to call another meeting at a later date for that number approval, which will be another week, at 10 days. Or what you would do is that you would just grant the chair authority to agree to a number with me once I know what it is. And then at that time, you could just email it out to the entire committee to inform them.
Okay.
Anybody that's been with me over the last couple of years, we've had retirees, and I have never disclosed who those people are unless it's already been out there. Because I can tell you that one person that felt like that person was gonna retire last year actually did not. And so, it's a personal decision. Some people can't wait. Some people, and let's face it, you do something for many years, and so with that said, I just wanna be fully, wanna disclose it, and be fair to all parties. So right now, your budget total is 32,172,289. That reflects the education budget that you voted on earlier this evening, and that reflects a couple of the reductions that you had over the past week, because you had reduced the conservation, and there was one other budget that you reduced as well. Oh, yours. Remember, you reduced your budget by 1,000.
Oh, that's right, we did.
And that also reflects the reduction in the water department budget, because the water department budget that you originally had received, that the board had received, which was before it was 1909, and then the newest one was 1901. So that reflects all of those changes. So the only change that I would be aware of, unless there's an error, is in case something changes with the benefits. And again, I apologize, but there was just no way I could get to it today.
I think that's reasonable. Can I ask a question, somewhat related? I read in the Enterprise that Wayne from the water department is stepping down. How does that affect the budget for?
It doesn't. Because he had decided to step down, and now it sounds like he may resume in that role.
Oh, really?
So,
Well, now that he's got,
Yeah, that's a bad look after it's been in the paper, but all right.
now that he's got some help,
Rick,
yeah.
so, I think it's a little bit fluid, but
yeah.
But you still have to fund the position.
Right.
Yeah, right.
exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
but he was gonna go back into a laborer role,
Yeah.
so I'm assuming
Oh,
that
I
would
see.
go
All
up
right.
too. But
Well,
that's fine if it's, we can.
Because now they can hire, excuse me, a
He was-
lower cost laborer.
Well, he was actually gonna go, he wasn't gonna take foreman, he was gonna go right back to a laborer role.
Wow.
And so they had 4 laborers funded, so whether his name was Wayne Parks or John Smith, it was gonna be somebody. But he wasn't even going back to foreman, which he was beforehand. But you can't have 2 foremen, and they already had a foreman.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So, Mayor, we would have to just take, did we take a vote on the?
Oh, no, let's
And
take a
again,
vote.
if I could ask you just to take the vote to approve 32,172,289, but provide the chair the authority in case that number has to be modified at a future date.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh,
no, I
wait,
can't
you
make
can't,
it.
you can't make the motion, sorry. Would someone like to
I'll
move?
make the motion that David just said.
As
32
presented.
something, Yeah,
Yeah.
as presented, there you go. With the
Second.
caveat.
Seconded, thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously.
So, with that said, it's going to be a unanimous vote.
So now I get to,
You gotta get the gavel.
oh, I see what you're saying.
See, that's what I was saying.
Right.
So let me explain what Meredith and I were discussing earlier. What always happens, and this is tricky, is that right now you just took a unanimous vote on the aggregate budget. We all know that. However, during the budget process, Jerry did not vote for the school budget. You actually voted against the library budget.
Got it.
So technically, you could argue that all those smaller budgets to enter the aggregate number was not unanimous. So I always get confused at town meeting whether or not you want as a committee, 'cause it's really your decision. And I could argue it either way. You could argue that your entire budget was approved by majority vote, which is valid, because some of you voted against it.
Right.
Or you could argue, well, even though I
voted against an individual budget. I just approved the aggregate budget unanimously. You just need to tell me what you want the committee to say, so that way I can let the moderator know, and we can do what we do on our end.
I think it would make the most sense to say is that we voted on the aggregate budget. And
It's a little misleading to
It
the
is.
public if we do it.
if we say it's majority vote,
Yeah.
they're gonna wanna know why.
Well, who didn't, yeah, right.
On
What-
the
Right, I think
aggregate,
it would cause
yeah.
more questions than,
It's your decision. I just want to make sure that I carry the wishes of the committee. So if the wishes is that
carry
it's
away.
unanimous, then that's what it would be.
Works for me.
Okay, all right, thank you. Sorry.
all right, let's, start hitting the warrant articles. So, Article 1 through 11 are consent articles. They're the ones we approve each year. And if anyone would like to make a motion, we can vote on all 11 of those at the same time.
So the 10 one is new though. I mean, it's still a consent, but it's the golf course one, so.
Right,
it's-
right. This is for the revolving
Just
funds.
wanna make
so
sure that got in there.
Didn't we already do that?
Yeah.
We did, so, this is why I said earlier, it's an archaic law. When we approved it in
Let's do
this
this every year.
special,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's only through June 30th. Because this is for the next fiscal year.
Wow.
So in case we had
Yes.
any I know, it's an archaic law.
It kind of makes sense, though.
Well, quite
Kinda.
frankly, that was a tricky one for me and town council when we worked on it.
Yeah.
To try to figure out what we had to do, so, if we're wrong, worst case is we took a same
Yeah.
vote within a couple of months,
Right.
right? But it protects us. But that's what it looks like.
All right.
So we move that we recommend Articles 1 through 11,
We recommend the,
As
Refer
presented.
to the
refer to
voters.
the voters, because it really doesn't have anything
But
to
wait a minute, we should
No,
vote
we
yes
should
on
vote,
10.
yeah.
vote yes?
Yeah, no, usually on these here, you would recommend,
the
I mean,
consent
unless you
article.
don't want to
recommend, yeah,
recommend, but it
okay.
would,
No.
Okay.
usually the refer to voters usually is something that either you don't have enough
Yeah,
information,
right,
or it's a bylaw.
right,
Okay.
or it's not applicable, doesn't have any
Alright.
financial consequences, but.
So move that we accept Articles 1 through 11 as written and approve, I should say.
Recommend.
Recommend to voters.
Recommend to
Hardest
voters.
part.
Oh, man.
Recommend to voters. Perfect, thank you. Is there a
No matter what you
second?
say, it will always be wrong, man, so.
Second.
Second, thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously.
Okay, JP, have you been talking to my husband?
Article 12 is our budget,
Which you just voted on.
which we just voted on.
Okay.
The next is Article 13. This is one that we vote on every year that has the real estate
Oh,
tax
yeah.
exemptions
Yeah.
or what's the word?
Yeah, it's the exemptions, like if
Are they
you,
exemptions?
correct, for veterans, if you're blind, seniors, that type of stuff.
I'll make a motion, we recommend Article 13 as written.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. All right. The next one is another one that we do every year. It's the Chapter 90. Why don't you do this one? Because it's highway. I don't want to do anything
Okay, so we do
highway.
this every year to, regarding highway funds or allocation of Chapter 90 funds from the state Chapter 90 local transportation aid funding in anticipation of later reimbursement from the state. So it's really just a temporary.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yep, I'll make a motion, we recommend Article 14
Yeah, and a second,
as written.
I second.
and all in favor?
Aye.
I abstain.
Okay.
So that passes by majority vote, or is that unanimous with one abstention?
I think it's unanimous with one abstention.
Yeah.
And, you know, Meredith, it may make sense for you to make a disclosure, since you're chair, at the beginning of the meeting, maybe it's something I can talk to the moderator about. You might want to say that, assuming the only abstentions is in reference to you and in reference to the highway budgets, you might want to make a disclosure, so when people are out there, they're not asking every single time, why was there an abstention?
Yeah, well, who abstained and why?
Because
Yeah.
there's 4 or 5 articles to pertain, right?
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
but I'll speak to the moderator about it, but it might make
Yeah.
sense to do it up front.
Yeah, just do it.
Assuming that's the only abstention. If somebody else abstains during the process, then that thought would change.
Well, that's good. It sounds like Sean's got a job till June.
Which one are we on? 15?
So that was
15.
15. This is another one that we vote on every year. This is so the Board of Health can offer the septic loans that are sponsored by the state.
I'll make a motion, we recommend Article 15 as written.
Is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Wow, we're already on 16. This is great.
Oh, God.
The next one is about the unspent money left in the CPC funds. So this is just moving the money into the appropriate buckets.
Okay, we do this every year too.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we recommend Article 16 as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, Article 17 is to use some of the CPC funds. So they're going to use a portion from the historical resources and from the Community Preservation Fund. Oh, what was it called?
Undesignated.
Designated fund.
Undesignated. And it's gonna be used by the forestry superintendent for the
Which
town.
numbers is it? Is it
I'm sorry,
Number
17?
17.
Yeah.
But is it all the way through? It looks like all these are.
Well, they're all coming from the Community Preservation
Oh, okay.
Act, yes. Using money from various buckets of the Community Preservation Act, is that correct?
So, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but my feelings on this is, I think we should make a motion to refer to the voters, because this money has nothing to do with us. This is, they paid directly to them, right?
Well,
Through their tax bill or whatever?
We already approved it,
Oh, we did?
yeah, through the community, through
All right,
their
that works for me
budget.
then.
Don't we have to vote on it?
Didn't we approve, we approved their budget.
yeah.
And they talked about 15,000 for the town hall, and we
They
talked
talked,
about.
the anticipated projects.
Right, so we've already discussed all this.
you did discuss it, yes, but you didn't take a vote yet.
Okay, we didn't take a vote, but we already discussed it, and I guess I just disagree, JP. I think we should vote on it, just.
But I don't know anything about any of these.
Yeah, I don't think I.
How much does it cost to, I don't know, expand the forestry superintendent for repairs and additions? I mean, I don't,
110,000.
I guess so. That's what I'm being told. But that's fine. That's just I think we've done that in the past too. With
You can, if you want to do that, again, as I said earlier, if there's not enough information, you just want to refer to voters, you can do that.
because I mean, to me, they have a say on everything, but to me, this is what this fund was for, is for their wishes and their wants. So, I mean, I don't know.
You know, it's a struggle with the articles, because we don't have enough time for someone to come in and do a 20 to 30-minute
Yeah.
presentation on every single article.
Yeah.
But it's $110,000, and I guess conceptually, you just have to say, do we want to spend as a town $110,000 on the cemeteries, and understand a town meeting, they're gonna make some type of presentation as to what they're going to do. I was amazed as to how many cemeteries we actually own.
Yeah.
I really had no idea that we owned as many as we did. I think it's 4, but again, that's off the top of my head. So,
I
I
mean,
think-
someone came up with this number responsibly,
Right.
so,
Right,
Yeah.
right, and again, this is Community Preservation Act funds,
yeah.
so it's not, it's money that the town voted to establish this fund to do these types of projects.
For
And
these
it's not
things,
affecting the
yes.
tax rate.
Right, it's not affecting the tax rate, it's for the betterment of the town.
Yep.
This is for, this particular article is to improve cemeteries, the next one is for Friendship Park. The
Yep.
next one is for 9/11 Memorial, this is all,
9/11 Memorial doesn't have money.
Well, let's finish Article 17, and then we'll go on to them individually.
Okay, motion to approve, Article,
Recommend? Sorry.
recommend Article 17 as presented, or as written, rather.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
I'm
opposed?
going to vote against it. I don't know anything about these items.
Sure, I think that.
I get that, too.
Thanks, because mine keep yawning, and who knows if I was yawning. All of a sudden, oxygen deprivation got to me.
Well, now that you said it.
The power of suggestion.
All right, moving on to number 18. This is again with the Community Preservation Fund. They're looking to spend $13,100 from the undesignated portion on Friendship Park.
Yeah, the only thing I wish I knew is how much is it gonna take to fix up Friendship Park? I don't really know that, but,
Well, it's not going to exceed $13,100.
well, this year.
Yeah, she means in general, if it would be smarter
That's
to
true.
get a whole new park than.
Is that the playground? Yeah. That's sort of ongoing, right?
Well, no, I don't think the town has ever put money, like, invested money into the Friendship Park before. mean, the
I know
maintenance and-
I know he touched on that when he was in here, but I don't recall.
Yeah, so Meredith's correct. Out of the forestry budget, Chris does do maintenance to it.
Yes.
But there are some things there that need updates. And so that's what the $13,000, there's some tie rods that are there, they're all rotted.
Right,
We have to
right.
backfill the area.
Yeah.
So that's really what this money is gonna be spent for.
Okay, I'll make a motion to recommend Article 18 as written.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
All opposed.
Thank you. That passes with majority vote. Moving on to 19. This is the 9/11 memorial. This is for the town to designate this as a historic artifact. Is it just the beam or is it the whole open space?
Just a beam.
Just the beam,
But there's no money associated with this?
right.
What can
Oh,
happen to
well-
a
Well,
steel
you're
I-beam?
right. There's money in the next
Exactly.
article related to
Oh,
this.
okay.
So it has to be designated as a historic artifact, but in order for Article 20 to proceed.
So, I mean, once again, I think we should defer to voters. The finance committee shouldn't be deciding whether or not things are national art or whatever the term was. Historical
Historic.
I would tend to agree
I
with
just
you
don't-
on that,
That's not the purpose of
JP.
this committee.
I agree, but then I look at Article 20, and I'm wondering where these dollar amounts came from, because they came before us last year. And
Yeah.
I had a hard time putting money towards
too.
the 9/11 memorial,
Why
when I
not
know
World
there's
War
people who
II,
would
Vietnam?
donate to it. There's lots of grants out there still, so I have a hard time with it.
$60,000.
And it's the space next to the public safety building.
Yeah.
That green, what is it, the
That's
gas
a
pumps are
septic,
there,
isn't it?
and then there's, they do like the, don't they have the?
Oh, that's what you call
the cookout.
repurposing.
Yeah, I had questions last year too
So,
on
I
this.
mean, to me, those are two separate things, though. 19 is whether or not it's, I know I keep
We
messing this
get a
word up,
beam,
an
but it would have-
historical
Well, we don't-
designation of land, and 20 is spend the money.
Well, it has to be designated historical in order to spend the money
Correct.
on it. So if it's not designated as historical, then we just skip Article 20.
I
Correct.
mean, why
I-
would that particular spot be a historic
That's a
resource?
very good question.
But see, once again, I don't think these don't seem like
Yeah.
things we should be deciding. That's kind of what the
Can
town
we
is for.
refer to voters?
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
make a
we can.
motion.
I'm not going to go against it. I'm not against it or
No,
whatever. I just
okay.
think this is not our purpose. We defer to voters.
All right,
That would be my.
Is that your motion?
Sorry, that is my motion.
Is there a second?
Official motion.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. That was 19, right?
That was 19.
All right, on to number 20. It's to spend money on, oh wait, we passed that unanimously to defer to voters. So Article 20 is to spend the money on the article that we just referred to voters.
I mean, can we do that again? I feel like those kind of have to. be-
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can.
they can be done together.
Yeah.
So would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, to refer to the voters.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously to refer to voters.
So Article 21 is for the
That's
town clerk,
ongoing.
the preservation of funds, and I'm in favor of that.
We've been
because-
doing
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
for
we've
a
been
long
doing that for years.
I have noticed that the amounts have been increasing, but
Was this like the
Still being
record
done.
preservation? Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
She's probably trying to get it done, right?
Yeah, she's trying to
Right.
get it done, yeah.
right. So would anyone like to make a motion?
Make a motion that we recommend Article 21 as written.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously to recommend.
Same thing for 22. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the one that they added last year, right?
Yes.
It was
for the
just 21
assessors.
before, and then they added 22 for the assessors.
So I'll make a motion that we recommend Article 22 as written.
Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously to recommend. All right, Article 23. This is to continue with, oh no, this is one that we do every year. This is to transfer towards the pension fund.
Right.
I'll make a motion. We recommend Article 23 as written.
Is there a
Second.
second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously to recommend. I'm loving this. You guys, we're flying right through this.
Don't put the whammy on us.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, all the hard ones are at the end usually, right? That's
I
usually
know.
how it
Meredith's
goes.
favorite,
Yeah.
this is the pornography one.
Did I really do that? I'm not
You know that the
surprised.
Web Task Force stands for West and East Bridgewater?
What is it?
West, East, and Bridgewater.
Never knew that.
Yeah,
It's a drug task
Yeah,
force.
drug
It's
task.
not
Who
for
knew?
porno.
we all learned something tonight.
There we go. Well, I'll make a motion. We recommend Article 24 as written.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously to recommend. All right. Number 25, this is part of the capital budget. This is one of the items that the capital budget committee recommended, and the selectmen. It's to put $60,000 towards the replacement of the roof at Town Hall.
And you
To
guys,
fund the
you
rest
guys
of
are on the capital budget.
Yeah, we
I was.
recommended. All I
Agree.
can say is if they come back to us in 2 years, tell them they want to build a new town hall, I'm gonna be really mad.
No, last year they
happen,
made
but
a
not likely.
They
commitment
made
to
a
this
commitment to
mill,
this
Fix the
building,
building.
right.
and I'm sticking to it.
No,
Because they've never changed their minds.
you can't put the creaky floors into a new building. You have to have creaky floors in the town hall.
Well, I mean, if you guys if you guys sat and reviewed it, I'll make a motion to recommend
And
Article
they've got a
25.
bid, they know there's enough money to do it. It's a portion of the money, isn't it?
Right, because some of the money was approved last year and put in the article, and now this is rest of the money to fund the rest of the project.
It was much more than
Yeah.
What was expected.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously.
That's interesting.
To recommend.
If I'm on that committee, could I vote on this as
Yes.
well?
Oh,
Yeah.
Were you sleeping? during
You,
that
you
part?
have to, otherwise there'll only be 3 of us.
That's right.
Maybe when the kids playing ball. we'll
Yeah, exactly. We'd have to be pulling people out of the stands.
Yeah.
Article 26 is
Raise your
to
right hand.
You are now an official finance committee member. Don't ask any questions.
Put the
We
glove
do
down.
important things.
All right.
All right, Article
was
26. This is to pay off the project at Spring Street School, the roof that was replaced. If you remember early, was it last town?
Last year.
It was just last
So
year.
2
We had to
years
bond the
paid off?
money,
Oh, and then we were gonna pay.
and then we were gonna pay it off, and this is the.
Oh, so these are all going to
With
bond
cash.
payments. Okay, I was wondering how we
No.
were getting these things done but not paying for them. All right.
No.
We didn't bond it.
No, actually,
Did
we're
we bond
using
it?
free cash.
We did.
This was
Okay.
bonded last year, we're paying off the bond.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right.
All right, would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. We recommend Article 26 as written.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor to recommend?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Okay, Article 27. This is to pave the parking lots at the Howard School and Spring Street School. This is another of the capital budget committee items.
Didn't we pave that last year?
That was a town hall.
Oh.
That
No,
was
it was Town Hall and Howard Street.
And
Yeah.
Howard.
Howard
Oh,
School,
the
I'm
street.
Howard School.
Oh, wait, but
But
this
they're
says Howard
saying
School too.
Howard
And
School.
so this is in the
Listen.
rear of Howard School,
Okay.
and this is Spring Street.
Gotcha.
Do they need to be paved?
Yes.
Do they?
Yeah.
Haven't been up there lately.
Spring's all beaten up from the
Correct.
construction. Yeah.
And the buses take a different route now to at the Howard School, so they really need to pave that.
Okay, I'll make a motion. We recommend Article 27 as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously to recommend the article. Article 28, this is another capital budget item. It's to spend $100, $100,000 to purchase furniture.
What are they buying? Really little
New
desks.
It's pretty old from what we understand.
The
Probably
the
well
only
afford
thing
out of
that
their budget.
the only thing that
right?
bothers me about this
But
one is they
that's
just
another-
sat in here and told us that they'd never have to come to us for money because
Yeah.
of the way they do
Yeah.
things, and now they're asking for $100,000 for
Hey,
furniture.
you know what?
I mean, what's the difference whether it's iPads or chairs?
Got it.
It's just that's. I mean, I don't. I'm sure they need the furniture. That just really kind of bothers me that they,
need the
sat here a
furniture.
half hour ago and told
They-
me that this
Whether or
doesn't
not they
happen.
need the money is a whole nother discussion.
Digital library sources.
No, and that's the thing. I think these are all needed, but they just said that these are the things school choice money is supposed to be used for, and that they never have to
I
come
don't
to
think
us
they
and
can use
ask
that
for
for
it.
chairs.
Right, the furniture,
No,
school
they said
choice can't be used
enrichment
for.
and something else.
No.
All right, Article 28, elementary furniture.
Well, so, I mean,
people have seen this, I mean, they really.
We saw pictures of the furniture, and by the way, this is phase one. They're gonna have phase two next year.
No,
No,
no, we
no,
did
this
it
is
all at
all of
once.
it.
Oh, okay.
Because we
Okay.
have the money right now in free cash to pay for it. If we did, they were talking about splitting this one and the digital library resources
Right.
up over several years. And since we have the money right now.
And it's still allowing us to put money in to free cash, right?
Yes.
There is, yes, which we're
Okay.
gonna get to in a
Okay,
moment.
all right.
But if you recall, one of the reasons that we did a capital budget is because they were originally asking for 120 for each.
That's
And
right.
what we found out is that if we grouped it into 1 year and they went out to bid, they could save potentially
Less.
about 20%.
That's
Yeah.
So
right.
that's why we said, let's do it, because we have the money and we could save money.
That's right. I forgot about the
I'll
savings.
make a motion, we recommend Article 28 as written.
Second?
All those in favor?
Hard decision.
It is a hard decision.
I'm gonna vote no.
I'm sorry, I didn't need to rush everybody, I thought we
It's
were.
all right, I'm gonna vote no.
I can retract my motion, I don't know how that works, but if we wanna talk more.
I didn't even hear how everybody voted, so we're gonna have to.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I just, you know, speaking for the concern of the taxpayers, I think that there are still lines that I don't understand, and they have all this money that they throw into contractual benefits or whatever, and at the end of the year, it's gone. And they never give, there's never any money that comes back to the town. And I understand that they get bonused, but if you look at some of the salary increases, they are excessive year over year, 9%, 10%, and.
In the school?
Yeah, the principal, the superintendent,
Oh.
considering that their bonuses and what have you, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of money, I'm sorry, but, you know, any voter in this town would be very happy to get a 10% raise on a yearly basis.
I hear what you're saying.
It's gone up a lot in,
Yes.
the last,
Yes.
like, 4 years.
I hear what you're saying, but our teachers in this town are among the lowest paid in the state.
That's the teachers, I'm talking about the principals, superintendent,
And isn't that kind of your point, is that
yes,
those salaries are kind of high?
yes, and they're going
But
up.
how are they compared to other towns?
We don't.
Can I ask a general question? Like, why wouldn't this, what makes it an article worthy versus just going into a budget worthy?
Yeah, so.
Is there a number value?
The article should be something that's more of a one-time expense.
Okay.
Because if you put it into a budget, in
Yeah.
the next couple of years it's zero, then you can't really do a real good analysis year over year whether or not they're controlling expenses.
So the only thing that bothers me about that is the water department, when we just added 69 grand for them to do testing. To me, that would be a one-time expense. Why wouldn't that be an article?
Because
Are they gonna do testing every year?
they will, except
Okay.
that we're going to put it into an article come fall.
Okay.
But right now, we didn't have any money to put into an
And they
article.
wanna start beforehand.
Correct. Yeah, they need to start immediately. Or else come fall, we won't have the necessary information for when they want to start going out to drill wells.
That's a 5-year process.
That's
I
exactly
mean,
right.
Well,
you can see my point, how that's
Yes, I
kinda,
can, Jake.
that's, you can't have it
No, I
both
know what you're
ways.
saying, I know.
But we know this, the water department is going to need to test year after year after year. We are not gonna be buying elementary furniture year after year after year.
Isn't it a difference between something tangible, like an item, like a desk,
An
versus, yeah, an asset?
Well, no, because some
You
of
know,
these are
I'm
like
thinking-
task force, and I mean that's not. There's other things in here that aren't tangible.
Okay, yeah.
So, do we know how old the furniture is that's there?
Yeah, since I went there. It's still,
A
it's
lot
very
of it is
mismatched.
apparently
And
very
it's
I mean, they're
very
brand
old.
new, they're very, very modern, I think they have some type of rocking motion to them or something.
That's what the
that-
high school has. So I'm on the the school building committee or the finance committee. So watching them go through all of the analysis for the furniture was incredible. But yeah, there's moving chairs. It's more of a comfy cafe lounge feel within the school. It's different. I know, but the way
Must be
people
like Ben-
learn, it's
Ben-
It
different.
must be like Ben Carson. He said, "Don't make homeless shelters too comfortable because then people will want to stay."
Wow. Ouch.
So I mean, I'm still going to stick with my recommend to approve it, or sorry, whatever my motion to recommend it. See it?
Yeah, there you go.
Every time I say it wrong.
I do too.
Well, keeping in mind that, the taxpayers still have to vote on it.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, me personally, I'm gonna recommend it. I understand you guys' concerns, so I'm not expecting a unanimous vote, but it to me it does fit the criteria of what we're talking about. It does seem like it's a one-time purchase, and can't be used for special, well, not special education, what's it called? The name, school choice, thank you,
School choice.
thank you.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm gonna oppose it just because I
Okay.
just have concerns.
So we voted to recommend it with a majority vote of 5-1.
That's fine.
It wasn't a hearty.
Write that down. Soft eye.
I mean, I have, yeah. The kids need furniture, so that's.
You know,
why
they
I'm
need a
Well, I'm
budget,
thinking
but
about
I just
there
have
could be
concerns
some
about
potential
who-
liability there too.
Yeah, I mean, that's
I'm not
what I'm saying.
opposed to the desks, I'm opposed to us giving them more money
Yeah.
for something I feel they could probably
You're more opposed to the
pull
process
right out of their
than the need.
budget
Right.
without
No, I know
even
it.
noticing the difference.
I know what you're saying.
Well, I mean, they just knocked 40 grand off to match the town like they do every year, and that didn't make a difference, so I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I do too.
But I'm just trying to follow the letter of the law, you know,
Yeah.
which is always a problem.
So the next one is around school committee to purchase digital library resources. So why isn't that the library?
Well, they were explaining to us that this was something they had to do to continue with, was it accreditation?
Yeah, so just so you know, this is at their library, not the public library.
Yeah.
So this is at the school library at the high school. So they go through a 10-year accreditation process.
Okay.
And so it takes a couple of years to go through the process and to get everything up and running. So again, this was another example. They were gonna do, I think it was 35, 35, 35, or 35, 40, 40. Whatever the
Something like
number
that.
was that when we discussed it, they have to get accredited. We know that. There's no debate about it. You can't, imagine if we spent $63 million on the school and then the library was not accredited, right? So we all came to consensus that it was something that had to get done. The question then became, if we phase it in over 3 years, knowing that they're going to have to be certified by 2020, is that if we do it over those years, it was gonna be more expensive than to fund it up front. It takes about a year for them to go through the process, because they have to go to bids, and then they spend the next year for the certification. So it seemed to make sense to front load it, it's cheaper, and they could start the process and get their accreditation.
And you said it's good for 10 years?
I believe it was a 10-year accreditation, I think that's what they
Yeah,
said.
10 years for the
But
accreditation.
if they're digital library resources, there's no way, I mean, with technology today, that whatever is in the public library can't be shared through the cloud or the internet, and how that works between the two libraries?
So I can't specifically answer the question. I think the spirit of what Dr. Oakley was saying to us at the time is that there are certain requirements that have to be available at the school, and it is their obligation to do it. That doesn't mean we may not duplicate it at the library. I don't know,
Yeah.
But it needs to be
but
there.
it needs to be at the school.
Yeah.
You know, again, that's why, and I've said this, so I don't mind saying it on camera. If I was here as town administrator 8 years ago or 12 years ago, and maybe this had been discussed, but I would have looked at and said, instead of building a 141,000 square foot building, I probably would have said, let's build a 148,000 square foot building and incorporate the public library there.
Yeah.
And then we could have shared some resources. I mean, just heat alone. I don't need another boiler. You know, for
Yeah.
example, I don't have another janitor staff. Now,
Why
maybe
didn't
they
we
looked
do
at
that?
it. Maybe we looked at it, and maybe there was a
Yeah.
reason why we didn't.
I
Because
believe
understand
that
one
was.
item, is that if you have non-education as part of it, you won't get part of that as reimbursed through MSBA. So if you're getting 50% back and that adds $2 million, you're on it for the hook for the whole entire amount. And people probably said, hey, we have a great library now, why expend the money? But I think that long-term, there are some other costs associated with it that we could have shared. And I don't know, maybe someone did that analysis, they determined the analysis said to do this, and that's great. I just wasn't here, so I don't know.
So last question is, why don't they use some of the extra money from the school choice? If that, they said they bought laptops and,
right.
Chromebooks, whatever
Right,
they are,
right.
and smart boards. Why?
See,
Well, they
I'm
don't
really
know, do
stuck
they?
on the-
Isn't that it with
extra
school
money.
choice?
I just don't see the extra money in school choice.
They may end up with some
She
extra.
said that they hold on to it in case they have somebody who moves into the district.
Right.
She never said whether or not, what happens if somebody doesn't move into the district. They still haven't given any money back to the town. That's,
Well,
I
I'm
didn't
sure
wanna be
there are,
too
don't you
pushy
think
because they
there
were
are
already
other
getting
areas, though?
aggravated, But she never said, I wanted to say, so tell me has the people moved into town every single year that you need this? You know, there really wasn't much of a, I would have, you know, liked for a better, like, you know, accounting of what they do.
Well,
I mean, they're
think
not
their-
obligated
I think
to give
their
it to us,
answer was
but-
that they do the best they can with the knowledge that they have. Because the,
that moment,
the stuff from the
yeah.
cherry sheets is not cast in stone. They don't know who's coming and who's going. So rather than coming back to us repeatedly to ask for more money, which costs down money to have more meetings and everything.
Like they are now, you mean?
No, they're not asking for extra meetings because they're
asking for
spending their
extra money.
budget.
They're
No,
asking for extra money,
I'm not talking,
Okay.
they overgo their budget and have to do extra stuff. I think that was what the argument was. It's a bottom line budget and there's stuff they can't control. So that's how they were taking care of it. I don't know if that's the appropriate way to do it, but I don't know how else they could do it.
Let me ask this, the school committee is the overseer.
Right.
Yes, and they spend
You
a lot
know,
of time, yeah.
And they're elected.
Assuming they're digging into all of this, and by the time it gets to us, it's been,
Scrubbed.
but I've never sat in a school committee meeting to see how much hammering goes on in there, or,
Well, I've sat down with Sarah and Patty, and they know the numbers inside and out and upside down. I mean, they
Yeah,
must spend a
yeah,
lot
I
of
mean,
time on it
their
to be that
job is
intimate
to-
with it.
you know, protect the taxpayers too.
Yeah, do we think the school committee, to Meredith's question about what do they make in other towns, that they do that outreach and find out what the various administrators are paid in other towns before they?
Well, that's really the root of the question is,
Yeah.
it seems like we're assuming that, but me personally, I don't feel comfortable assuming other people are doing what
Right.
they're supposed to do. So, and that's why I was trying to defend Jerry is, we have the right to ask these questions.
That's
because
why Jim, I
just
think,
because
was a
there's a
little bit
committee-
offended that we were questioning their
That's fine, you
judgment,
can be offended.
which we are.
Yeah, but
you know,
if,
so-
if we're gonna just take people's word for it, there's no point for us to even come here. I
Right.
mean, we have the right, and Jerry has the right to look through
Well,
the numbers and
yes,
ask questions.
yes.
We have the right to ask any department.
But we just kept
questions.
hearing back, well, we meet and talk about that. Well, that's not an answer to me, at least. I mean, me personally, I don't just accept what I see. I'm gonna scrub it myself. So that's just my point on that whole thing. It has nothing to do with Article 29, but, yeah.
And speaking of Article 29, would anyone like to make a
I'll
motion?
make a motion, we recommend Article 29 as written.
Is there a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Me.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna oppose this one.
All right, so it passes with majority vote, 4-2.
And I did vote for it, a capital budget, but that was until I started delving into these budgets
Yeah.
more.
Your opinion is also allowed to change.
Your
Your opinion is
opinion
allowed to
is
change.
So again, the way they put it all together must be clear to the school committee, must be, I mean, we struggle to understand.
Well, you
how
have
it's-
to read,
but-
don't forget, you have
But
to
they,
read from
they
right to
must be
left, not
clear
left to right.
on how it's, so they'd be questioning it as well. But I find it difficult to follow myself, so. But anyway,
All right, Article 30. This is another capital budget item. This is from the Forestry Department. They're looking to purchase a dump body for a 2005 F-450.
this and the next few articles, for those of you who weren't here, we spent a lot of time on. You know, looking at the whys and why we should,
Yeah,
and,
I didn't bring my capital budget stuff, but I can tell you that on.
You
Rather
guys, were you
than-
guys all for?
Well, here's
yeah,
the thing.
in the end, yes.
Yeah,
I
could
mean,
you guys start
I
each
was-
one with that? Whether, like, were you all for all of them?
I wasn't for any of
Everyone.
them when I started off, but when I looked at the age of the equipment.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've been down to the far, Anthony and I went down there several years ago. Their equipment is, you know, seen better days. So, and I think most of the equipment has outlived its, pretty much its useful life.
So 30 and 31 are kind of the same deal, just on a different vehicle.
I mean, look at this. You got talking about a 12-year-old truck.
Right, so why, why put new dump bodies on, don't they need new trucks?
No, because
I
the truck
think,
itself is in decent
Yeah.
shape, and a truck is 50 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah, are they diesels, or like, how are they getting this kind of life out of, you know, the motors and whatnot?
Oh, I see. One's for forestry and one's for highway. That's the
I don't know if
difference.
the 450s are diesels.
I don't know either.
I don't think so.
So, I mean, that's a long time to get out of, you know, a gasoline-powered truck that they use for this kind of work.
Probably diesel, but
I don't know. Do they have a diesel pump over at the fire?
Oh, yeah,
department?
absolutely.
Oh, okay.
yeah. But we went round and round on these.
So I guess we
Yeah.
feel like you guys did, feel like.
Did your work.
Well,
It makes sense to buy the, cause to spend this money on
Yes.
bodies and then,
Yeah.
are we gonna
Right.
have to replace a truck next year? I
Right.
guess
in
is my
full
question.
disclosure, I can't have anything to do with the highway department
right.
ones.
Yeah.
So just 30 for you.
Yes, can we take a vote on 30, and then we'll flip the page?
Sure.
I'll make a motion to approve Article 30.
Is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're back to unanimous. Unanimously recommended. Okay,
Okay, so I'll
now
do
it's
31,
Jerry.
32, and 33.
Okay.
And again, the highway superintendent is a 2006, so that's 11 years old. I think the dump bodies, I remember seeing those when I was with Anthony, they do take a beating.
Yeah. I guess I was just concerned that they might come back and ask for a new truck next year after we're
Right.
spending.
Yeah, you're looking at
Not
like the
for a-
roof. Like, does it make more sense? Just
Yeah,
to build the whole building?
not for a while, because, I mean, we have cash. So, if we really needed it, we would have gotten it, I think. Yeah, and
Yeah,
Sean
yeah.
was pretty good about presenting all of that, so.
Okay, so 31, I'll make a motion to recommend, because
Okay,
it's kind of the same thing we just did.
Second,
I'll second it.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
One abstention.
Okay, 32, what is a
32, okay.
Freightliner?
It's two new snowplows. They're
Okay.
$194,000 each. When I first saw this, I thought, he's insane. $194,000
I know.
for a snowplow. And two of them, no less. And I looked on the sheet and it said, life expectancy 20 years. I go, well, that's a joke. And I looked back at his present equipment, I went, whoa,
Yeah,
they're 20 and 22 years old.
yeah.
Go
Yeah.
figure.
And we're picking up a lot of efficiencies in the snow plowing plan.
Yeah.
In fueling, having to come all the way back from the far reaches of town to fuel and then go back out again. I mean, it's not mega bucks, but we will over time.
But if you take
Pick
that, and
up,
amortize
more
that over, like, if you
efficiencies.
just say, okay, divide by 20, how much a year are we paying for these things?
Yeah.
I mean, if they
Yeah.
did in 20 years,
Yeah.
wow.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not doing any accounting, just say, okay, how much a year is this costing us, if you want to look at it that way.
David, can I ask a general policy question? Do these things go out to bid? Is that how?
Yeah.
Like, do you have to get multiple bids for the equipment too?
Yeah, the state actually, there's a state bid list for it.
Okay.
So on police cruisers, ambulances,
Okay.
these types of vehicles, the state does all the bidding for you.
Cool. All right, well, I'll make a motion. We recommend Article 32 as written.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
That was easy.
One abstention.
And then 33 is a truck. Everybody wants a truck in this town. I don't understand these guys with the trucks.
Okay.
And with a plow, of course, so we can do some plowing.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like that idea, only because he does
That's what Wayne
touch-up
said.
work a lot of times in these smaller streets. Say the Freightliner goes down there and they can't really clean up the corners too good, and
What did
he
the,
says he can go in and clean it up a lot,
Oh,
you know.
Wayne, get his plow.
What did the last highway guy have? The last highway superintendent didn't have a truck with a plow?
He did not, he had a Crown Vic, he had an old police car,
Mm.
and
Can't put a
so-
plow on that?
No, and he didn't wanna, honestly,
He didn't do it,
he
yeah.
wanted to be an administrative superintendent. To Sean's credit, he wants to be a working superintendent. So,
Right,
You know,
right.
I think we have to give some credit to him. We have to get him a vehicle one way or the
Yeah.
other. He'd rather have something that while he's out there, he can pick up signs and do work with, and
Yeah.
also, the old superintendent, if he was driving down, whatever street, and there was an area that a plow had missed, he'd have to call someone.
Yeah,
I mean, in this case here, Sean will drop the plow and go.
yeah,
So, I mean, I gotta give him credit for that.
The highway
too.
superintendent, you mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
That is correct, yes.
I'm gonna make a motion. We recommend Article 33 as written.
Any seconds?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, one abstention.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, back to Meredith.
Woohoo! All right, the library trustees want to install sidewalks and railings at the public library. We're looking for $45,000 from free cash. This is again from the capital budget committee. The sidewalk in front of the library, I think, is really damaged from frost heaves. There's sections of concrete instead of it just
Heaved
being
up,
paved. So
it is uneven.
it's
yeah.
uneven.
And we had this conversation before, so refresh my memory. This is something that the librarian is going to control, and she gets the bids for under the current structure.
So she did. She went out and she got a bid. It came in at 90 grand. We were all pretty shocked by that. But this is the concrete walkway that goes basically like a U right around the building. And there's a ramp up front. And the concrete slabs are starting to heave. And unfortunately, the front ramp is also not ADA compliant. Now, it's a pre-existing non-conforming building, so we're not required by law to change it, although as a municipality, you make every effort to make sure that you can accommodate. So what we've done is that in my discussions with Ellen and the selectmen and the trustees, is that we said, how is it that we can best leverage it? And right now, the state has ADA funds available for communities that need it. So we're going to apply for a grant, and what the hope is that the state is going to match 50%. And what we have found in the past is that if you fund it and you say that you're ready to go, that you're more likely to get the grant.
Yeah.
So we broke it up to 50% of the expense because we've already started the application process. Once this gets approved, we're going to include the minutes to it to the state. We are hoping we'll collect the other 45,000. We'll be able to do the work, we'll be ADA compliant, everything will be new. If we do not receive the grant, then 12 months later, we'll be back looking for the difference of the 45,000.
In the meantime, is there any unsafe situation there?
There's no doubt that there's some dry heaving. But the reality is that we can't make every sidewalk
No.
perfect.
Right.
We do the best that we can with it. But yes, there's some heaving there, there's no doubt.
Particularly right around the front of the building, along that area, so. I'm always surprised at how much things cost. When I hear $93,000, I'm thinking for a sidewalk.
The point of my comment is I just think
But,
it's silly
you
that we
know,
have
it is what it is.
librarian do this.
Yeah.
Well,
Not just I'm saying in general having the person.
We
yeah,
did fund the project manager, didn't we?
That's what he would, he or she
Oh,
would do.
I think I missed
He
that
or
meeting.
she would take it
Yeah.
over. Oh, you
But I
missed
agree that I mean to me that was the
Yeah.
biggest sell of his presentation is it's
Yeah.
silly to have
Right.
people
Right.
who
how
don't
come
know
the
anything about
librarian-
sidewalks.
Right,
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I want to make sure on June 12th I know where you are.
I'll be run out of town before then. But we'll see.
Well, you know what, we'll be in the
I
car
will.
together.
Are you kidding me? I will. Actually, the 45% of the people who don't have kids in the schools won't run me out of town. Or excuse me,
Go ahead.
25.
Can I
Sorry.
ask a question? If we go through all of these free cash things, how much money are we spending on
So,
the 2 million that we have?
so you're utilizing 100% of your free cash. However, you'll see in your next one that you're gonna put $1 million of it into the bank. And as we've done for the previous 3 years, it'll be 4 years in a row, is that on your budget, you'll see on page 1, we actually transfer $350,000 of free cash to lower the school debt. So we are using about 1.4.5 million to either lower the debt or to put in the bank, and the difference is what you're actually spending.
Here's the thing that scares me though. What if 35 doesn't go through? Right, then you have no stabilization fund.
No, the money just sits there in free cash then.
Yeah.
So for example,
It doesn't go from that light, it just stays.
because the money
Yeah.
can't be spent until you choose to spend it.
But that's what I'm saying. So if Article 35 doesn't go through, then you will have already wiped out your town stabilization fund with all the other articles, right?
No,
Oh, okay.
no. So we received we have $2.6 million of free cash this year.
Oh, that's what the 2 point. Okay, I get
So
it.
we're spending the difference for all of these items. And then the difference of that is what I'm hoping to put in the bank and lower the debt. So here's the reason you put in stabilization. Your free cash basically sits in a revolving account, if you will. It sits there forever if you don't spend it. So if we don't put this into stabilization, next year, it's gonna be $1 million plus whatever we get. So say we get another million, of $2 million again. But to move free cash only takes a majority vote. That's all it takes. So if we don't put this in stabilization, it's a majority vote. We move into stabilization because, one, it helps your bond rating if you have to go out to bid because you're creating a bank account. But here's the other item. Once it goes into stabilization, it requires a 2/3 vote to move it out. So it's more difficult to access it. So say, for example, and I'm going to use this, and please nobody get mad at me, But if next year, the school, since we were discussing it earlier, remember their school choice money is gonna apparently be $300,000 less. That's what we heard tonight. And they need 300,000. They could go to town meeting and say, hey, you didn't spend your free cash last year. We just need a majority vote. We'll transfer from free cash to make up the 300 grand. If we put in stabilization, they need a 2/3 vote.
Yep.
So that's why you put in the bank, because you protect it more. But truthfully, it's really better every time that you go to the bank if you have to bond. Because now, if 35 goes through, and I don't see why it wouldn't, but if 35 goes through, in 4 years, you've put $2.3 million in the bank. That's pretty good.
So free cash, how much free cash will be left over?
If
Right,
all of
the
these
next
get
line.
Approved.
if all of these get approved, and the money moves into stabilization, you will have spent 100% of your free cash this year.
Okay, I follow you.
And what
All
I
right.
do, and the reason that
I didn't add all these up.
Yep, that's
so-
okay.
Do we have no free cash if somebody had, did I miss that?
Well, that's why you move in the bank.
But
You don't
then
lose
have,
it.
You have more control. More people in town have to say, yes, I want to spend that money to do this.
Right.
Okay.
It kind of makes sure that their money's being spent
Right.
for the actual majority.
And remember,
Not the
only
majority.
town meeting can approve it.
2/3.
Board of Selectmen can't, school committee can't, library trustees can't, whomever, we can't. So you have to go to town meeting and you have to say, okay, we have $2 million in the bank, we want to spend it now, and it requires 2/3. Right? And what I do, this is strategic, is that I always put the stabilization fund at the end of all of the other articles. And the reason for that is that if a couple of these do not pass, I quickly do the math,
Yeah, you can
and then when we
edit
get to
Yeah.
35, I increase it accordingly, so more money goes into the bank.
I'll make a motion, we recommend Article 34 as written.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously to recommend. And then Article 35 is to move the excess free cash into the town stabilization fund. If all the other articles are approved, it would be $1,094,538 moved from free cash to the stabilization fund.
Do we have any questions, or because we kind of just talked about it? I'll make a motion, we recommend Article 35.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. All right, Article 36 is to transfer from available funds to the Municipal Building Needs Fund. That's the committee that if something happens with one of the buildings, there's a little kitty of money available to improve the buildings.
So when you say transfer from available funds, didn't we just move all the funds?
So whenever you see free cash, that means that it's the money left over from the previous year,
Yeah.
Okay.
or really, it's really due to growth. When you see raise and appropriate, that means that it comes out of taxes and/or fees. So remember, we're gonna raise it 1.5%, that's what the budget is. So out of that amount, which is about $24 million, $50,000 of that would go into this fund.
Where would we see that on the, is there a line item in the budget?
Nope,
So
It's an
theoretically,
evolving account?
it's an article,
It's an article.
so it's
No, I
just.
meant where it goes.
You've already
to.
figured it in
It just sits there.
to the budget.
Correct, so
Yeah.
I put together, all the budgets come
Yep.
in, I take all the articles, and then I put it all together and I say, okay, if we raise it 1.5%, this is how much money we have to spend. We can fund our budget, and then out of that 1.5%, whatever that total levy is, plus all your receipts that come in, remember, you gotta have excise tax that comes in and things like that, then $50,000 of that money would go into the municipal building needs account.
can I, just not that I'm advocating for this, but so I have a better understanding of how this works. So if we put 36 before 35 and then lowered 35 by 50 grand, the tax rate would be a fraction of a hair smaller?
Yes. So if you said, we don't, get rid of the 50,000, make it zero,
Yeah.
then again, it's on, say, $24 million, so 50,000.
Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah, yeah.
Right, but you're absolutely right, it would be $23,950,000 is what the new tax levy would be. And so it would make whatever difference there is to the tax rate.
That's
So
tough
your
for me.
1.5% is this 32 million plus all this other stuff, is that what you're saying?
No, the 1.5%, our tax levy is about 23 to 24 million. Then you have receipts, then you have state aid, and then all totals up to about 32 million.
That totals up to
It's everything.
Is there any further discussion, or would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Article 36.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mo left the room. I don't know how we note that, but
Now we just make the vote 5-0 and Mo left the room.
I want that announced at town meeting. 5-0, but Mo left the room.
Poor Mo. He's gonna be sorry.
Everybody turns around and looks at Mo.
You're not leaving. You missed it. Too late. You wanna vote for it real
We're
quick?
having fun in here.
We're defaming your character.
Do you want a quick vote for Article 36?
Voted for it, but you left.
That's an aye.
Okay. Delayed reaction, but it's there.
He had to go and collect his thoughts.
Do you put that in the minutes? I left the room.
Absolutely.
They only announced it like 6 times on the TV.
All right, Article 37. This is one of the water commissioners or the water department's transfers. They're going to be transferring money that was left over in an article and some money from water surplus to pay off the hydrants.
I go over big. I'll make a motion to approve it.
Can I just?
Sorry.
This is another one I have a problem with. I really think this is the voters' call, not ours. I mean,
Well, I mean, I agree
We're
with you.
calling
because
it for the voters.
We don't
Yeah,
have any
we were
say
saying we
on
did
it,
the
but
research.
I don't.
we are saying we agree with it or we don't agree with it.
But did we
JP?
do we know anything about it?
Well, just because I want to make sure we're clear. 3 years ago, they borrowed $60,000 to do hydrants.
Okay.
2 years later, last year, they transferred $27,000 into that account. So they had a total of $87,000 in order to do new hydrants. They have done all the hydrants they plan on doing, and they have not spent all of it. There's $38,000 left in that account. So we want to pay off the debt. So in order to pay off the debt, there's $38,000. They're going to transfer 93, 92 from their water surplus, the equivalent of our free cash. You combine those two, they pay off the debt goes away. When the debt goes away, your water rates go down. So that's what they're attempting to do, is to pay off that debt.
Well, I mean, I think it's a good idea. I'm questioning our involvement, but
Again, I see our involvement as we agree with it or we don't agree with it. We give, that's why we're here in
We're
general.
like counsel to the people in the town meeting.
That don't know
That
about
we
it.
do
Right. We're
research.
recommending it. We
Right.
agree
Being compared
this.
with like a memorial or where that's more directly involved. with the
yeah, there's at
voters.
least some
Yeah.
financial
Yeah.
aspect here. Okay. Go ahead.
Would anyone like to make a motion on
I-
Article 37
I
now
made a
that
motion to approve
JP
it
said we can
as
go ahead?
written.
Second?
Thanks, JP.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously to recommend. Okay, Article 38 is also with the Water Department. This was to pay off the debt, or to pay part of the debt off for the water meters and related equipment, using $128,000 from their water surplus.
Again, this is, okay, so people were complaining about the water surplus not being used to lower the rate.
Right.
This will take the water surplus and use it to lower the rate. Am I
That's right.
correct?
Yeah,
And it's
ultimately.
not taking any money from the town to pay the water
It's from
department,
water
which is
revenues.
huge to me. This is,
Yeah.
it's good. Water is paying for water.
Well, just to be clear, the debt is 228. They're gonna make a $128,000 payment towards it. This goes to JP's concern earlier about that 69,000.
Yeah,
So instead of having to make that $69,000 payment out of their budget, they're making $128,000 towards it, because come fall, if we have a special, they wanna pay it off when they get more money in. So that's what they're trying to do, is accelerate the payoff, and by lowering your debt, you lower your rates.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
a motion to approve Article 38,
Is there-
to recommend Article 38 as written.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes unanimously to recommend. Article 39, also again with the Water Department. This is to convert Station 1 wells into automated submersible pumps, $147,572 from their water surplus.
So, am I
Related
off on my
equipment.
math? I didn't think they had this much in surplus.
They
So-
had, yeah.
Yeah, they had 284.
284.
So if you do 147 plus 128 plus 93, you'll get that number.
So they're wiping out their surplus.
That is correct.
How would they raise surplus? Just go up in the rates right away, or? It's just, yeah, they'd have to, huh?
Yeah, how do they get surplus to begin with if it's supposed to be?
Yeah,
The
that's
budget
right.
is supposed to match the water rate exactly, right?
Well,
Right,
that
but
was a lot
it's-
of people's complaint.
But
yeah.
truthfully, it's impossible to match it identical because you've got 3,000 payers and you don't know if next week, I mean, are you gonna water your lawn or you're not? So, are you
Yeah.
gonna buy a pool this year?
Yeah.
If there's a drought, you're gonna use more water. If it rains heavy, you won't use a lot of water. So it is a little bit of a moving target. And truthfully, on a $2 million budget, $284,000 is only a 1% difference. That's not a lot, you know, so they're within line.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve it as written. Approve it as
Recommend it.
written. Recommend it, yeah.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously to recommend.
I thought they said they needed water surplus to prepare for their infrastructure. for
They were
growth.
talking about different ways
And
of
that's,
using it.
so, right, so there's two items that they're chasing, as Rick explained to me, is that they have existing wells that are not as being as efficient as they were in the past. That's what that article does, it takes an
Yeah, right,
existing well
right.
to make it more efficient. And then they're gonna use that $69,000 to start the process of finding more wells, and then the capital, the surplus that they have in the fall, they want it, or he wants to, we'll see if the
Okay.
commissioners wanna use it, then to chase more wells at that
Okay.
point.
Okay, all right, well, that's good, that's good.
And when we see these articles, this was approved by all of them, the Board of Water Commissioners?
I don't know. The assumption is that, but I do know this, what Rick told me is that the commissioners gave him permission to go forward and put them together, the same way that you gave your chair permission earlier about the benefits line.
Is Rick the chair?
He is.
Oh, he is.
He was elected chair.
All right, Article 40. This one I didn't see a financial impact to. This is
yeah.
about allowing the sale of liquors and cordials, which is slightly different than beer and wine license or a full liquor license.
Hard liquor
Would this
versus
for
soft liquor.
supermarkets?
No, so what happened was, is that, as we all know, when Prohibition ended, is that the laws were, everybody was a dry town unless you voted at your legislative branch, which is our town meeting, you had a vote to allow yourself to be able to sell alcohol.
Okay.
So we did. And we allow ourselves to sell beer and wine, and that's on premise, which means that you go to a bar and you have beer and wine, or off premise, you go to a package store. And then you also have, that's beer and wine, and then you also have all alcohol. And all alcohol, again, is on premise or off premise. So on premise is that you go into, say, a Charlie Horse and you can get a shot and you can get mixed drinks and all that stuff besides beer and wine. Or off premise, that you go to a liquor store and it's a full package store where you can buy hard alcohol as well. In between, we've accepted those. That's why we have them. In between, we never accepted this one, that we allow a restaurant that wants to sell liqueurs and cordials. So Epicure on Route 106, what they want to do is, right now they have beer and wine. They want to be able to do, I'm going to call them soft mixed drinks. And they want to be able to do it. The Board of Selectmen is the licensing authority. We went to license them, and then we realized we never actually accepted this. So we can't actually vote on it.
What's Epicure?
Epicure is a restaurant, wine and cheese,
Yeah, it's like a little jazz
Near the
bar.
old
on Route 106,
barbecue.
I've seen it somewhere.
next to the old Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the selectmen couldn't approve it. We are out of all of our all alcohol licenses. So if somebody wants to be able to do, like I said, beer and wine and soft mixed drinks, then we would approve them liquors and cordials. Well,
Cordials, yeah,
yeah,
like a,
I don't know.
Like, doesn't it give them, they can't sell like whiskey or scotch or vodka?
It has to be pre-mixed. So
Oh,
it'll come like in like
oh,
a sugary,
okay,
fruity mixture
Yeah.
that already has, say, rum in it.
okay.
So they
A
can't,
juice box.
a juice box with alcohol.
that's a dream come
Oh,
true.
that's horrible.
I got kids.
No, that's horrible.
I need a
That's
mommy
like
juice
loaded
box.
calories.
It's interesting.
Like the worst stuff in the world.
So
Yeah.
truthfully, It was just an oversight from 20, 30 years ago, or whatever it
There's
was.
no liquor
Prohibition
licenses
was
left
longer
in
ago.
town.
She was longer than that.
There might be beer and wine, which they already have,
Yeah,
but not
right.
all alcohol.
So this actually, though, in effect, is gonna expand the number of liquor licenses.
And we're already one of the,
Sort of general, right?
No, because they already have a liquor
Just
license.
these-
You're just
just
gonna give them the
categories.
opportunity.
So if somebody already has an all, they don't need this.
Correct.
Okay,
That is absolutely correct. So it really is the bridge between a beer and wine and an all alcohol.
I'm gonna make a motion, we defer article, or refer or defer, whatever we're doing to voters
Right,
on
more
Article
tax
40.
revenue.
Sales tax.
Second.
Well, there is because we have the meals tax. So, on food and
Yeah.
on beverages,
Right.
if you sell
We
more
get
beverages, you will get
Extra
a.
0.5%, right?
it's 0.75 of
yeah, 0.7.
3/4 of 1%.
0.75%. So it actually is, so the more people spend on drinking, the more money the town makes. And we are not unique in that. Every town that you go to has exercised their right to add that 0.75% to the meals tax so they can use it as a local fundraiser, local revenue raiser. Find a town that doesn't have it.
I thought
would
I
say.
heard of one that voted it down, but,
Yeah, there were some that voted it down. I
But-
wasn't in favor
I
of
think
it,
most of
but-
our neighboring towns
Yeah.
have it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, I had a map once and I went just east of Worcester. I didn't do all Western Mass, but it was
pretty much.
95% of them had it.
So that, I mean, I agree, JP, but the only thing that, you know, you can say, well, it's tax revenue.
Well, and the other thing is this, is that, say you have an open bar/restaurant, it's vacant, and all of our licenses are out. And then you have a really good operator that's saying, hey, I'm gonna choose between West Bridgewater and Stoughton. And they can't get this, they may go to Stoughton, so now you just gotta have a vacant property. I mean, that's really, because you don't wanna see a vacant property.
No.
Then you're definitely losing revenue at that point.
If they're right next to the town line and they're gonna be leaving West Bridgewater as soon as they get in their car, that's fine.
Kick them all out, huh?
So anyway, so that's only my take on it.
So is there a motion to refer to voters?
Yeah, but I might be backing out now.
So I'm gonna make a motion.
Yeah.
Approve.
Override my motion, so I
I'm gonna
don't
make a
have
motion
to,
to recommend. That's the word, right?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, JP.
All right, the first, seconded, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So 5-1? 5-1 passes with majority vote. All right, Articles
one's 10
41
pages
and
long.
42 are bylaws, and we usually refer those to the voters.
Well,
We do. So Article 41 and 42 is not new bylaws. All they are is to amend existing bylaws. 41 has to do with the animal control officer. 42 has to do with the dog leash law. The town clerk went to a seminar. It turns out that state law is amended a little bit in reference to these two provisions. And so what she's looking for is some pretty minor modifications to be consistent with state law.
To put it in compliance with state
Exactly.
regs.
So that's really what it
she's
is.
got here, these line is what she's saying.
That is correct. Those are the amendments.
The lines that are crossed out?
That is correct.
Also not to set the fee, but to allow, okay. So it doesn't become part of the article.
All right, would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, we refer to voters on Article 41.
And 42 if you want it, because,
I haven't read that one yet.
oh, I'm so sorry. And,
right.
don't mind.
Is there a second on Article 41?
I'll second it.
I didn't even realize it was.
All those in favor to refer to voters on Article 41?
aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously to refer to voters.
We're just coming in compliance with,
Yeah, that's all we're doing, getting up to speed.
All right, Article 42, again, has to do with the bylaws. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Make a motion that we refer to voters.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? And that passes unanimously to refer to voters.
Looks like we just changed it.
6, Section 7, Section 9.
All right, we made it through all the articles. Let's see what else.
I never even saw Article 42. What's on 41?
That's why I only did 41, I didn't even know it existed.
You were gonna put.
There was too many
close your book and
pages.
leave.
Yeah. Can't read all these pages.
The last item on our agenda is the budget message, which I did not yet complete, so I apologize. I did not have that ready for tonight. So you can fire me,
No worries.
but I will email it to everybody.
Deduct it from your salary.
Yeah.
You should. I should not get those contractual benefits.
We have to vote on it though? Or how does that work?
No,
Can we
she
vote on it
just-
via
she usually
email?
just let- she
I
can
just sign
send it.
everybody's
Just gonna
name.
send it
But we
out for
can, do we have to make a
comments.
motion that you can do that though? That's
No.
what I'm saying.
We
No.
did,
Oh, we already did that?
didn't we?
No, we don't have to make a motion. She has, to. She, it's typical to write this letter and write
Yeah,
this
but I'd
thing.
rather you guys voted. I think
We
we
voted
did.
to allow
It
you
would
to
make
do
me
it.
feel
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
you have
just-
to contact us anyway on what
Right.
the whole other thing is, so if you could.
And then we
put
just
them
can't
together.
reply all, right? That was,
Right.
I
Not
remember
reply
that part
all,
of the discussion,
right,
did
right.
not reply all.
No.
But
we
any
violate the
edits,
rules.
suggestions,
Might lose
please,
my
I take no
volunteer
offense.
position.
Run you out of town on a rail.
Deduct it from your salary.
Well, I'll make a motion that we,
Let her write her
accept,
crap.
accept
Yeah.
Meredith's Finance Committee budget message when it's ready.
Yeah.
I'll email it around to
Is that
everybody.
the gist of what I'm supposed to say?
Yep, that's
Is
it.
there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Hi.
Any opposed? That passes with unanimous vote. Is there anything else that needs to be brought before the committee?
So just so you know, nice job. You got the budget done, you got all your articles done. We have to go out to print in a little over a week, so that's good. So the only other thing we're gonna have to get together for now is when we look at our special. Truthfully, at this point, in this is the way West Bridgewater does it, there's no right way or wrong way, but in our annual, we also have a special. We do 15 minutes, and we go to a special, and we go to an annual. We know we have to cover our snow and ice deficit, so I'll be working on that. At this point, I have no other articles in
For the
the
special?
special.
Oh, so
When
if
is the
we-
deadline to get them?
For tomorrow.
No?
Oh,
If we spend all the money, do we still have money for the snow?
So what we try to do is that this is where we squeeze our budgets and try to transfer everything within. So that way it doesn't cost us anything. And we've been able to do it the last handful of years. For example, we still have money left over in this budget. So that's what I'll be looking at over the next couple of weeks.
What is that number? I'm just curious.
Right now, it's about 255,000.
That they need additional
That is correct.
for the 90 or whatever it was.
That is correct. So, I'll be in touch with Meredith as to whether or not we have to call another meeting. You'll have to call it for that particular one. But truthfully, if that happens to be the only article,
Do it, be,
you might want to just, you could
Do
do
it
it
before the meeting.
do it before the meeting, because we know we have to cover it, and Meredith can send the information out. And if there's someone has a question, they can touch base with Meredith or touch base with me, whichever you prefer. But we know we have to cover it, and if we're covering it from our existing pool of budgets, then that means that we're not negatively affecting anything either. So,
And pass around the word that we have some open spots. I was thinking after town meeting. I really wouldn't want anyone to join at this point,
No.
but right after town
Can you
meeting.
put anything like that on, like, the buzz around West Bridgewater? Or is
Well, I
that
was gonna put it
appropriate?
on the
We
West
should put it
Bridgewater
on the- on
Hub,
the hub
but,
at some
Yeah.
point.
but I wanted to wait till
Yeah,
after
wait
town
till
meeting,
yeah.
so that
Yeah.
no one jumped
Yeah.
up. And I don't think you guys have been appointed again. I know it was JP and, is it JP and Cheryl? No.
I know we
We're
had to
next
write a
year,
letter,
aren't
but
we?
that was
We're
the
next
beginning of
year.
the year.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah, I think we're next year.
Because you haven't been appointed yet. The committee to appoint the finance committee hasn't had a chance to meet, so you're still in your roles,
Yeah,
even though
yeah,
your term
yeah, that
ended.
won't happen until the fall.
Well, it was supposed to happen this past fall,
Oh.
and it didn't.
How
And-
long's the term?
3 years.
I don't think anybody's beating down the door for our seats, so.
Well, we've got, we've got some excess. We've got a couple of empties. So after town meeting, please, if there's anyone you know who might be interested, and we'll just agree with everything I say, they'd be perfect. We do not want to be a rubber stamp. No, I like all the different opinions, because that's when you get you find out more about
Yeah,
the budget.
Need good questions.
It
Really
is,
do need
and
good
everybody here
questions.
asks very good questions.
Yeah.
And I like how you guys don't get frustrated, like, they were getting hostile, but.
Yeah, they were getting
Well,
mad.
they weren't getting
That's the only
hostile.
reason why I said anything, 'cause I
Thank you,
was like,
JP. I know, I was
don't-
like-
Don't yell at her for asking questions, man.
Thank you.
But you asked very good questions. We didn't change their budget. We understand it better. I mean, I think we're a good committee.
That's the difficult part. I mean, you don't know all the moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
And as JP said, you're assuming that everybody's doing their job, but you don't know that unless you can understand the situation.
well, it's such a big nut, you know,
It's a
for the
large
town,
piece of the town's budget.
which doesn't go down.
Right.
goes up.
It's gone up quite a bit in the past 2 years, asking a lot of the taxpayers.
Well, no, I disagree with that having gone up so much because their Chapter 70 funds have also increased. What's the word I'm trying to come up with? At the same point, they're in line. So their increases were covered by the state. It didn't come from the taxpayers.
So if the state reduces money though, it could be a different.
It could be different every year, but last year their increase was covered by mostly by Chapter 70 fund increases.
Because we still don't know what we're getting off the cherry sheet,
Well,
do we?
and
No.
those school choice numbers are gonna go down eventually with all the development that's gonna
Oh,
happen.
that-
So
yeah.
then what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like the Howard School is the one that's concerning. But anyway, any other business? Anyone like to make a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.